Let's go ahead and turn right now. I'm joined here on set by Matt Horace, former ATF agent who has been monitoring these developments all day. Matt, first of all, your thoughts on some of what Jeff Pegues was talking about right there, the notion that this shooter, Omar Mateen, actually called 911, pledged allegiance to ISIS, and made sure that that dispatcher had his name.
Well, you know, as you're aware, very early on today, the FBI identified this as a potential terrorism incident. They knew what was in that 911 call when this happened. The perpetrator telegraphed what he had done and what he was going to do because of his allegiance to this organization, and now we know for sure about. So
in the wake of that, Matt, what sorts of things would you expect to be taking place here behind the scenes as they try to piece together what other connections may have actually existed between this person, Omar Mateen, and possibly others?
Well, this entire incident is about as large of a crime scene and investigation as we've seen for quite some time. We need to identify who purchased those firearms, where those firearms went from purchase to time of crime. There's the terrorism investigation that's going on. There's going to be hundreds of interviews that have to be done to corroborate the information. There's tactical and strategic leadership and investigative resources that need to be put into play, not only now, but throughout the better part of the rest of the week.
You were with the ATF. How long do you expect it might take before we might know, for instance, how it was the suspect was able to get his weapons?
Well, normally in a situation like this, we'll do what's called an urgent trace, and we will stop at no turn in determining how this happened very quickly. I would expect to turn around within the next 24 hours.
To find out how it was that the suspect was able to get his hands on those weapons. Let's talk about those weapons. We know there was a handgun. We know there was an AR-15 style assault rifle.
Yes.
Tell me about the lethality of those weapons.
Well, obviously the assault weapon, which has a high capacity magazine capacity, and in this case he used it in that regard. I'm still wondering one question: how did he manage to get into the club with the weapons? I understand there was a gun battle with an officer outside, and maybe that's how it happened. But nonetheless, whatever the weapons used, carnage and a lot of it in a very short amount of time.
You wonder because of the size of an AR-15 assault rifle.
Yes, it's not something you could hide underneath your jacket or in a bag. So he went for broke. He knew what he needed to do and wanted to do, and he did exactly that.
How would you say the relative ease of getting one's hands on those weapons, how might that have changed in the last, say, 5 or 10 years? Are these weapons becoming more and more common?
Well, as you know, the state laws are very different from state to state. In my time with the ATF, Florida was seen as a source state for firearms, and in this case, it was probably very easy for this person to get a hold of this weapon.
Okay, so you would expect in the next 24 hours or so that authorities might have a sense of the provenance of these two weapons.
Within the next 24 hours, we'll know where that weapon was purchased legally, how it ended up in the hands of the suspect, whether legally or illegally.
What other things do you think investigators are trying to sort through right now? It's very early still in the investigation.
Well, what they've done, they've established an incident command, and by that I mean who is in charge of this investigation, who's in charge of intelligence, tactical planning, strategic planning, interviews. There's so much that needs to be done. This investigation is going to be going on for weeks, months, if not years, to wind down and get all the information that we need to pull the pieces together so that everyone knows exactly what happened and how and why.
All right. If you'll stand by for us, Matt, I want to play some